Hey there, folks. We're going to talk today, of course, about the Johnny Glock discussion that I had with him. I thought it was pretty fun, had a really good reaction on the channel, and we'll go through the comments and kind of react to what happened with that. But first, I think we should kind of, back out a little bit, zoom out a little bit, and look at kind of the larger issues going on here. So, Johnny makes drop-in trigger products for Glocks, which is, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like you can buy a gun, it's modular, and then buy a drop-in part, drop it in the gun, and change the characteristics of it. There's all kinds of accessories you can have for a Glock at this point. Things are so modular, like you can shoot a gun that's a Glock that really no part of it is even a Glock, which is, I mean, I guess like basically a good thing, but sometimes it can turn into a little bit of a bad thing. That's kind of what we saw with Joel's Franken gun that he had in his class. You probably saw that video where, again, it's a Glock nominally, I suppose, but no part of it is made by Glock. There's a tolerance stacking thing or whatever, and then somebody gets one of the trigger tech triggers, which is, a trigger that's right on the edge of capability, I suppose, and then they put everything together and they create an unsafe condition. Uh, Again, like with really modular stuff and all these parts to pick from and all that, it's mostly upside, but this is kind of one of the downsides. Um, that's kind of how I see it. Where if you take it and now we're trying to get the gun right to the edge, like I want a super light trigger and all this stuff. Now we can make things a little bit dangerous. That's kind of how I see it. I don't really think it's exactly just like, oh, the trigger tech thing is unsafe. Although, I mean, I think there's issues with it. Don't get me wrong. But it's like that in combination with other things looks like it can cause a problem. Now, and also on the back end of this interview, the people I know that have these triggers, like I hit up my guy that has 8 of them, and what he was saying before the Johnny Glock interview is like, I can't get mine to do that. What he's saying after is Johnny Glock's right. I think he changed like the plungers, the safety plunger spring or whatever, and he got the guns to behave the same as Johnny's. And when he initially put his guns together, he just on his own determined like, oh, I think those springs are too light. I don't like the way those are in there. I don't like the way that feels. So he did not use that spring configuration. And then by changing spring configuration, got the guns again to act just like the Johnny Glock guns. So, you know, after listening, I was like, change the setup. Like, okay, yeah, I'm getting my gun set up that way. The lesson like, for me or where I'm at with that is if I'm going to use a product like the Trigger Tech trigger, which seems really interesting. I've never touched one, but everybody says it's super cool. You got to try it. The only way that I'd really want to use something like that is if it's installed by someone who really, really understands what they're doing. That's not me. But they set it up, install it, they know what they're doing, they test it, and they make sure that it's not going to be unsafe, as much as possible. That's the circumstances under which I'd want to use it. It also, they're working on one with a trigger safety tab, the safety dingus. That seems like a good idea to me, and I'd be way more interested in trying that one. Anyway, that's my thoughts, kind of looking at the larger view here. Now let's go to your comments on the Johnny Glock interview, which I enjoyed and I thought he was fun. Thanks to Ben and Johnny for doing this. I learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of other people did. Yeah, I agree. Uh, and it was just Johnny's kind of a fun personality, like good sense of humor. A lot of people pointed out that I'd previously called him Johnny Cock on the internet, and I think he addressed that in good humor. Like again, that makes people like him. When it's oh these trigger pin backs out, it's like it's not Johnny Glock, now it's Johnny Cock, and he fixed the trigger pins and took it in good humor, took it in stride. So I like that. That makes you kind of like the guy, like a lot. Like he, again, good sense of humor. All right, let's move on. From my previous comment, I picked up the Trigger Tech Ace for the Glock about a month ago. Had my buddy install it on his cheap P80 build for testing. We noticed that sometimes the gun would fire if the magazine was slammed in. Okay, so we've seen this before. That's why the 4 rules of safety are so important. We kept the gun pointed in a clearly designated safe direction, even though we were out in the middle of nowhere. Once he swapped the Ace over to an OEM Gen 4 Glock, the issue completely went away. Overall, it's an excellent trigger, but for us, it's not relegated to range toy use only because we can't really trust it. I'm going to stick with the OEM stock trigger for anything important like defensive guns. When I tried the GPT trigger, I had light primer strikes with certain ammo, whereas the OEM stock trigger ran it without any issues. Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of where it's at. If you need it to work, like Glock builds it so it works. You may not like the trigger, but at least it's functional. All right. Then as people start to get the guns racier and racier and they want that lighter trigger, again, at this point, it's easy to create an unsafe condition, especially with how modular everything is, and if you're wanting to get the gun right on the edge. So not surprised to have that experience, and that's consistent with the other footage we've seen. All right, since Ben is the new 2A news reporter, can we get him a studio? Imagine how great this show could be. I can't be in a studio, man. I got to be on the road. I'm just can't stop. All right, Ben, if you don't rep the SS trigger that Johnny proposed, that's a failure. Johnny's pretty funny. Yeah. All right, Ben probably against his will becoming an industry journalist. Okay, I have Trigger Tech triggers in both my ARs, and those are great. I saw the Ace, and I'm interested to be sure. I have the fancy Glock trigger with the 90-degree shoe in my 17, which I genuinely think has been a big improvement. My experience with Trigger Tech has been so great. I was trending with the probably on it. I do have enough skills to replace the Glock trigger. I'm getting the sense that maybe I'm not good pushing the envelope too much on a Glock because I'm not sure how much better shooting something else would be for me than what I got. Better safe than sorry, I guess. All right. Well, the end part makes sense to me. Better safe than sorry. Like, if you aren't sure what you're doing, like, I wouldn't mess around with this kind of stuff. All right. Not taking sides, but couldn't this backfire competitively against Johnny? Nobody, including Johnny, can deny the trigger is good. So if Trigger Tech puts out a revised version, won't it prop up the Ace even higher? Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I think you're right, but I don't think like Johnny cares is a good way of putting it. I think he's like just looking at the trigger and assessing it and saying what he thinks. That's how he came off to me. He comes off very genuine, not like trying to get something or not fucking with anybody. A lot of people like read a lot into the internet discussion type of stuff. Like, oh, Johnny's doing this for this reason, or what it could be about anyways. Oh, Ben's saying this or that for this reason. But I don't know. If you've been in business for a while and Johnny's been around for a while, he probably understands like it doesn't affect things that much when you go and shoot your mouth off on the internet. Usually. It usually doesn't matter that much. You can say or do something that'd be real, real bad, and business could go away tomorrow, I suppose. Um, but aside from some catastrophic statements, people don't care too much what you say. Like a lot of you guys think I'm a complete psycho, as much stuff as I say on the internet, but it doesn't affect my life at all, right? So it's like if I'm traveling around, I'm doing my own thing, working, like there's not a shortage of clients. Maybe some people on the internet are mad, but it's not like there's people coming up to me in person and being mad at me. That doesn't happen, you know? Like people don't care that much what you say on the internet. Um, like the worst consequences of all of my shenanigans will be like a couple awkward interactions at SHOT Show. Or like I'll walk into a booth about maybe some product I've said something horrible about or something, and people will look at me like, "Oh, I don't think they like me very much." That's the worst. So it's not like a big deal. And then so if Johnny says, "Yeah, man, the trigger's good. I like it." It's like this will not affect anything. Like maybe Trigger Tech will sell some triggers, but he's not. It's not going to affect Johnny's business or his life. It doesn't matter. He can just say what he thinks about the trigger. Um, well, that's how I see it anyway. Even though Bennett said he doesn't prefer, paraphrasing, of course, the Johnny Glock trigger on his Glock, of course, the Ben Steyer Pro Shop sells the Apex trigger kit. Yeah, the pro shops, they're hosed. They'll sell whatever. They'll sell you a SIG if you want. 320, I hope. Like, if you want. Like, again, it doesn't matter that much what I say. But you can buy whatever you prefer. And if you like a different thing than I like, or you want to buy, I don't give a shit what you buy or where you buy it. Not really. It's fine. This is just on people don't care that much again. All right, about removing the bit of material to make the safety dingus work. Johnny Glock's explanation was good, but the point is that ain't going to fix it. Just because the trigger rotates forward doesn't mean the dingus is going to reach the frame to ensure the trigger does not move rearward. So we're talking here about the adding a safety tab to the Trigger Tech trigger. I mean, you may be right. You may be right. Now you can see Ben's eyes glazed over when Johnny brought out the instruction manual. Look, sometimes when it starts getting really technical, he's like, "Oh, you see how this thing moves to this thing?" I'm just looking at him like, "Oh no!" Like I'm trying to track what's going on here. Like this is not my thing. All right. In quotation marks, I'm trying to get you to say some shit that will make your lawyer have a heart attack. Sun Tzu, probably. Yeah, that's fun. Like, this is why the internet's fun. Because people like to freak out about little things you say on the internet when the reality is it doesn't matter that much. All right. I think Johnny believes what he's saying from an armor standpoint, and that's not just marketing or competitor assassination. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like he came off as very genuine, and again, like being also in the industry a little bit. I'm telling you, you get to a point like you realize it doesn't fucking matter what you see. You can just say whatever you think, and it's like you'll still have clients. Um, Trigger Tech's still gonna have clients. Life's gonna go on. People on the internet that get really mad, like they don't really matter that much. Like you can just say what you think. It's not a big deal. All right, the fourth iteration of the SS trigger, that was brutal. Thank you. I thought that was a pretty good joke. All right, I think the SS trigger could be the final solution. Oh my God, you guys love the SS trigger joke. So good. All right, I think the fact that if your trigger isn't drop safe, that trigger companies label it for competition use only. I am the only one that thinks that's insane. Like, no, I agree. I think it should be like for action shooting and that kind of thing, having the gun be drop safe is a good thing. You're still running around. I've seen plenty of dropped guns in matches, like a lot. So having it be safe, that's very, very good. Um, yeah, I don't. That's a weird attitude that it doesn't need to be safe for competition. All right, this channel has got to be tired of winning, right? I don't think so. I don't get tired of winning. All right, let's see if somebody antagonized me. The spin when the shoe's on the other foot. It's a great trigger, but it's not for general public use. The chickens have come home to rooster. This is a perfect example of a double standard when it comes to a product failures from a friend's company opposed to a big company. I mean, I like your comment, sir. I put a heart on it because it seems antagonistic and you seem mad at me. But I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I don't. Um, I'm not I don't know if it's a great trigger. I mean, great trigger, but not for general public use. Like right now, I'd just be very, very careful, no matter who you are, if you're going to use that thing. I'm not sure the chickens have come home to the rooster. I don't know what you're talking about there. And I don't know what the double standard is. And I don't know who's friends with who with these companies. Like, I really don't. I don't know what you're talking about at all. All right. I'm really glad you had Johnny on. Clears up a lot of misconceptions people have about Johnny's motives, me included. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he comes off pretty good. I don't I'm not too sensitive about his motives, just as long as I'm entertained. But yes, I understand that's a question for people. I feel Johnny Glock is headed down the road that he doesn't need to be on, but his heart's in the right place. His motives are safety driven and not financially driven, in my opinion. I really, really think he makes the single best trigger for Glocks by a huge margin. Well, that's not what he's saying. For this reason, I haven't had any interest in looking at other triggers like the Ace, so there's never any danger of being a customer of theirs. It is interesting that Johnny Glock says he likes the Timney trigger. I thought it sucked. More so after I tried one of his triggers. Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't like the Timneys. Like I've seen too much of that aluminum stuff. Fact is, Johnny Glock knows his way around the Glock trigger. I'm glad he came on and cleared up some things, giving more context that was needed for some. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great. Ben, your channel's grown into something really good for the community. Oh, that's me. I'm just trying to help the community. I know you like to stir the pot sometimes, but your professionalism here showed your true nature. Thank you for doing this. If Johnny Glock was up to it, it would be great for him and you to do a video every once in a while. Yeah, I mean, I'd talk to him again. I like the guy. Um, let's see what else we got. Oh, okay. Here's a guy being a little antagonistic. I thought this was interesting. Johnny Glock has his kids doing damage control in the comments. I hope Trigger Tech sues him. Um, that would be amazing. Let's see him put his money where his mouth is. If he cares about our safety so much, he wouldn't have a problem taking Trigger Tech to court. I mean, I like the spice, but sue him for what? Like, who's suing anybody about and what for? For one thing, the Trigger Tech trigger's new. All right, I don't think he's been really harmed by it yet, and it's again, it's like a new era of modularity. It's right on the edge. Um, they're not they're not sigging anybody saying there's not an issue. They emailed me. They want to give me a trigger. You know what I mean? They want to talk about it. They're releasing a trigger with the safety tab. Uh, all this stuff. It's not that type of situation. Although granted, there's a potential for stuff to become unsafe here. I think people are looking at this and they want to understand it and then be very carefully how they move forward. Or be very careful how they move forward. I don't know how or like what suing anybody has to do with anything. Why would Trigger Tech sue Johnny? He didn't say or do anything crazy, and I don't know why he'd sue them. You're just some people just get really mad about this. Johnny got in the comments with this guy's like, my kids, you're going to bring my kids into this. You and I need to talk. I've reached out to Stefan guy and he wouldn't get back to me. Maybe you'll have a conversation. Then the guy's replying to Johnny. He's like, Johnny Glocks, what are you going to do about it? Trigger Techniques to sue you, dude. Oh my God. I'll chill when Johnny Glock admits this was all to sell his own triggers and safety concerns were a secondary reason. He won't admit it though. That's why I don't like him. He's dishonest. Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading that at all. Uh, and I don't think this is selling a lot of Johnny Glock triggers. I don't see it. Like, I don't like the guy putting those comments in. Like, I don't think you probably are really connected to anybody doing business in the industry because I don't know. It's like total misread. If you think this is selling him a lot of triggers, I mean, it's just not. All right. All the people saying Johnny Glock is saying a whole lot of nothing, need to take a Glock armor's course. It's not hard to see what he's saying. I get it. He has a dog in his fight since he sells triggers, but unsafe is unsafe. Period. And that angle lightens the trigger too much. Without a trigger safety, it will go bang. That's what it looks like. Especially again, consider the modularity aspect of this, where you're gonna get different outcomes on different frames. I mean, everybody I think is understanding that the trigger tech thing is right up to the edge. And that's just the type of product it is. It's I haven't held one, but Johnny showed you, he's like, oh, there's a whole series of checks you got to do when you install it. I mean, I would like a new person fucking around with that thing just seems like a bad idea. And I think Trigger Tech would say that. You'd be like, no, you should know what you're doing when you're messing with this thing. All right. You need to do more than the free versions. You could do more than 30 minutes, Ben. We wanted more because we saw more drama coming. Yeah, you're right. I should what do I subscribe to Zoom? There we go. Why are you always in a hotel room? Well, I live my life on the road, sir. Therefore, I need to sleep somewhere. It's not always a hotel room. Sometimes it's Airbnbs. But I don't know how many nights, like 250, 280, something like that, nights a year on the road. That is the way it is. Anyway, folks, interesting discussion. Um, yeah, I think we'll be talking to Johnny Glock more. I want to get the Trigger Tech trigger now more than ever. I want to play around with it. And yeah, there we go.